welcome to the Ganru Show. I'm Golda.
And I'm Ganru.
And this is a podcast that's just like hanging out with your two best girlfriends.
We're continuing our Summer Shorts series with an episode on summer concerts.
Woohoo! Summer concerts. I don't know
why are you saying it like that?
I don't know. It just came out. I didn't even see the concert in New York. I saw it right here in Los Angeles.
Well, Golda went to a concert last week.
With famous New Yorker Paul McCartney.
Oh, God.
So,
let's get started. So this summer, Golda was able to cross a bucket list item off of her bucket list and also participate in a quintessential summer event, the summer concert. Golda, tell us how it went.
Well, to start off, I wanted to share with all of you that I was raised a Beatle maniac. For as long as I can remember, my parents have instilled in us the importance and joyfulness of music. And front and center to music growing up was the Beatles. We had every single Beatles LP or record. We constantly had it playing in the background. When cassette tapes were invented, then we bought the cassette versions of the LPs that we had. We had Beatles posters all over the house. When my parents built a house in the Philippines, they put Beatles posters all over that brand new house. We would go to the mall and go to those Spencer gift store shops where they would sell posters of bands. And we would buy every single band photo of the Beatles at Spencer gift shops. Mm-hmm. We had magnets of the Beatles on our refrigerator. We had Beatles lunch boxes. Uh-huh. As young as I can remember, when we had VHS tapes to watch movies, one of the first VHS tapes we bought and viewed was Hard Day's Night, which was the Beatles movie. And we had that on heavy rotation almost every single weekend. Every single childhood memory has been thought of that I can think of is about the Beatles. Over the weekend, when everyone would be home, we would tune into a local radio station called KLOS, and they had a show called Breakfast with the Beatles. And every weekend, they would go over certain parts, either different albums or decades or styles, and we became the experts in regards to the Beatles. Now, I'm way too young to be a Beatles fan, traditional Beatles fan. I was not a teenager when the Beatles were in their heyday. Mm-hmm. This was more my parents who were the young kids that were experiencing the Beatles. And each of us would argue as to who our favorite Beatle was.
Mm-hmm. What was your favorite?
My favorite Beatle was John. My mom's favorite Beatle was John, and then she thought Paul was really cute. Mm-hmm. I loved Paul because he was left-handed, and I thought that was really cool. I loved George Harrison when I got older. I think George was hard to appreciate for a young kid, but as an adult and a musician, I love George. Mm-hmm. And I delight in Ringo.
You delight in him? I
delight in Ringo. I think in the household, John was it. John was king.
I see.
But by a very close 1.5 second was Paul McCartney.
So growing up in your home, what would you say, although clearly you guys were big Beatles fans, but what would it be? Would it be like the Bible, the Beatles, and the American flag? Okay, but you substitute whatever it was.
Wow, getting right to the CNN questions.
Okay, would it be like rice, our rice scooping stick, and rice scooping scoop?
Yeah.
And the Beatles, those were cherished in our household. Or you know what I'm talking about? Or like the Bible or in my grandma's such and such and the Beatles.
Yeah.
It looked like the Beatles was one of them. Could you name
Beatles was by a galaxy in front of almost everything else.
Oh, what? Above the Bible?
Yeah.
Above
Nah, I won't
Anything?
say that
Okay.
because then my mom will get mad. And we don't need that in my
Okay,
life.
let's not bring up any conflict right now. We don't need that. Let's just talk about something
Let's just
everyone
say that
can
it
agree
was
upon.
very, very important. It was definitely embedded in the tapestry of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also say that the Beatles were extremely instrumental in influencing me as a musician,
Wow.
for sure, and
Mhm.
also influences me on what sort of musicians I like and music I like to this day. And I can easily pick out bands that are influenced when their song is influenced by the Beatles. I can hear it.
Oh, really?
That's how it's in my psyche. So, I mean, it was definitely then when we heard that Paul McCartney was going to tour yet again.
Yep.
I think the last tour he had was several years ago. And I had a hard time with myself back then because I thought, oh, I should have gone to the concert. So I made a vow that if he were ever to go to concert, we would be on it. So in December of 2018, Paul McCartney announces that he will have a tour called the FRESHEN UP Tour to coincide with his recent album. And we got tickets, and the tickets are here. We're here in Los Angeles. The show was here in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium, one night only. It turned out to be a sold out concert.
Amazing.
Sold out concert. And yeah, and this is just one of my bucket list items, which I know that many of you knew that it was a bucket list item. So
I think for a lot of people, they want to catch one of the last living Beatles. Right?
absolutely.
Yeah. Just on a little side note, Golda actually planned to listen to Paul McCartney, but I actually went to Vancouver for 4th of July. I didn't tell you this, Golda,
Tell me.
but our Airbnb was right next to a stadium.
Oh.
And it was kind of noisy. Like we could hear music coming from the stadium. And I was like, oh God, what's that? Close the window. It's so annoying. And the next morning, other residents of the Airbnb said, hey, did you hear that concert last night? I go, oh yeah, we closed the window. And they told us it was Paul McCartney.
No kidding.
One night only in Vancouver. And I shut my window on a living legend.
Get off my lawn is what you basically said to Paul McCartney.
I just exactly.
Living legend icon.
Exactly. Can you believe that? So I missed an opportunity at least to eavesdrop. But anyways,
Yay.
So tell me about your experience. Yeah.
So what do you do when a living legend comes passing through your town, breezing through your town? You're going to grab it. Grab the opportunity and get those tickets.
Yes.
We're so happy we did. And so leading up to the concert, you know, we had planned out how we were going to get there and all these types of things. We ended up taking the wonderful Gold Line subway in Los Angeles.
Thank you, Metro.
Thank you, Metro. You know, a little plug for them. And it was interesting because we weren't the only ones that had this brilliant idea of taking the Gold Line. And what really stuck out to me was the diversity of the people at the concert.
Oh, how cool.
So I was thinking they're all going to be maybe my parents' age, you know, because, you know, just a little flashback here. Paul McCartney is 77 years young.
Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, you know, back in the heyday, a lot of the fans are probably going to be in their 60s or 70s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, funnily enough, looking around, there were a lot of young people there. There were a lot, like everything
Like how
from,
young?
I would say mid-20s all the way to like 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
everything.
wasn't like the Eagles concert where I went to.
Oh, why? What was that like?
I never saw so many gray hairs people in my
And
life.
plaid like this. Check out our YouTube and you know what I'm talking about.
I looked at the Eagles concert. It was a sea of white hair.
Maybe it was the pot smoke that was clouding your... They're actually 28-year-olds, young fillies.
Exactly. Okay, so sorry, you're saying it was diverse in age. And was it diverse in ethnicity as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely could see. I mean, and I saw some Pinoys and Pinays there.
Of course, you have
And I'm
to
like,
represent.
Ay, Tito, what's your favorite song from the Beatles? Or Wangs? Let's not forget, Paul McCartney had a solo career.
Yes.
And had another band called The Wings.
Yes.
As well. So, you know, it's interesting because before he started playing, they played a bunch of Paul McCartney songs or Beatles songs. And you got the sense that, these are the songs that he's not going to play.
What do you mean they play them like over the speakers?
Yeah, so when you're getting to your seat and you're getting your like souvenirs or whatever, and you're waiting for Paul McCartney to start, they play music over the loudspeaker, right?
That's a bad sign because you're like, oh God, he's not gonna play this again, like in real life.
Exactly. So Paul McCartney has had a 60-year career.
That's crazy.
60 years. That's
crazy.
6 decades of singing and writing songs and touring. And the guy has the energy of like a millennial. It's amazing.
Yeah. So how was it when you first laid eyes on him and when you first stepped out?
Oh my goodness. Well, going back to like the songs that they played over the intercom. So like the song Yesterday came on and I'm like, gosh darn it, he's not going to sing Yesterday. I want a refund. No, I don't want a refund.
But it would be nice to hear it live.
So yeah, the first song that he sang was Can I
ask you what it was like just watching him step on stage and come out and what the reception was like and what the feeling was like when you first saw him?
Absolutely. Well, it was definitely a swell. So there was a swell. The lights started to dim and this medley started to come up on the speaker. And then you started feeling the energy in the air really change.
Anticipation and applause, right?
Yeah, and the applause began to increase and strengthen as the seconds came by. And then the stage was dark, and then you would see somebody come out, a skinny person come out.
A skinny person, a distinctively skinny
person. A distinctively energized, energetic person come out on stage. And then you could see a little bit of a silhouette. And then you knew it was Paul. And then thunderous applause.
Wow.
Yeah. And the first song that he sang was the soundtrack to the first Beatles movie I've ever seen on heavy rotation. It was A Hard Day's Night. So he sang Hard Day's Night. So that was really fun. Everyone went just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Just, yeah, their heads blew off. Everyone was going out of their minds.
Just probably when he played that opening chord.
Yeah. Bring.
Exactly. I knew you could nail it. Yeah. I mean, I would have been like, just with that chord, everyone went crazy because they knew what it was, right?
And everyone was on their feet, and it was really quite something. And then he played a 38-song, 3-hour set.
My God.
The guy is, did I say he's 77 years old?
Oh my God. How many songs?
38 songs
and 3-hour sets.
hours. Do you know that there are young-ish musicians out there right now that are charging up the yin yang for concert seats, and they're only playing like an hour and 15 minutes?
Barely.
And then they have dancers and stuff that like come in like every 15 minutes so that the person can change.
Wow.
And I'm like, you know what? You need to look at Paul McCartney, J-Lo. I mean, those artists out there.
Taylor Swift.
So yeah, he did a little bit of everything. He did some Beatles songs. He played a multitude of instruments. So he started with his bass that he played while he was with the Beatles.
Cool.
And he segued to electric guitar. He segued to acoustic guitar. He played keyboards. He played grand piano, baby grand. He played another type of keyboard. He played the mandolin. And he also played
mandolin. Okay.
Yeah, he also played a ukulele, which interestingly enough, he started playing it. And I'm like, I don't recall a ukulele like Wings song or a Beatles song. So he started to play it, and then as soon as he started going more into the song, it turns out he was singing the song "Something."
Oh my God!
Which was written by George Harrison.
Lovely song.
You know the song. How does it go, Wanru?
Something in the way she moves. Is that right?
Yes, girl. I'm feeling it.
Oh my God!
Attracts me like no other.
Beautiful.
Oh, give me a break.
You know what? When we sing the song, our eyes close. I noticed.
Because I sound like George Harrison when I close my eyes.
No, because I don't know Why?
Why do you close your eyes?
I don't know. You close your eyes, and I close my eyes when we're singing this.
It's because we're singing with feeling.
Yeah, with feel, because it's so touching. It's such a touching song, right?
So it turns out that the ukulele that Paul was playing was a gift by George Harrison to Paul McCartney.
Oh my God!
And he's kept it all these years, and so he said some very loving words about George Harrison. And then all these photos of George Harrison were like in the background. Which
oh my
awesome.
God.
And then it went into, then the band kind of crept in and did and finished off the song. So that was a highlight.
Whoa. And correct me if I'm wrong. That famous dun, 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 dun,
something in the way she moves.
Oh my God.
Come on,
people.
Who makes sones like this now?
Right.
Hashtag Taylor Swift. Come on.
So I heard that little, that guitar part is George Harrison.
Yeah,
he wrote that part.
Yes.
Like any of those really kind of distinctive, textured, sort of elements of Beatles songs. You go, who wrote that part? Who decided? It's George Harrison. That's why he's the underrated Beatle.
He's so good. There is actually a documentary about George Harrison available out there now. It was on HBO for some time. I recommend it if you haven't seen it already. Gives you some insight into the genius that is George Harrison. I don't remember, but we'll figure it out and we'll tell you about it on the show notes.
Yes.
So Paul definitely paid homage to many of his co-Beatles. Another really lovely thing that he did was he acknowledged John Lennon, of course, and he wrote a song for him post John's death.
Oh wow!
And it's a song that he wrote that he wished he could have said to John while John was still alive.
Oh my gosh! Oh wow!
So he said, one of the things, like they're from Liverpool, right? Mm-hmm. So something that he said was, Liverpool boys never said they loved each other. That's just something you don't say.
Yeah.
Right? So he's like, this is his "I Love You Man" song. That's his "I Love You Man" song. So it was a really lovely song to John. And Paul said, don't wait too long. Tell the people you love that you love them. And that's the lesson of the song.
And what song was that?
It's a song called "Here Today."
Oh,
it's a brand new song.
Okay, yeah. I have to listen to that.
Yeah, "Here Today." It's his "I Love You Man" song. Then he also talked about a Beatles hit called "Blackbird." You know that song, "Blackbird"? Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful song and a very intricate acoustic guitar accompaniment. Mm-hmm. And he talked about that. And we know the prima guitarist Gertie Meza is phenomenal at it. Does her own spin to "Blackbird." Mm-hmm. But basically, "Blackbird" is a civil rights anthem.
Oh my gosh.
What was going on in the 60s at that time.
Can you sing a little bit of "Blackbird" just for those who at home who don't know the song?
That's the bird. No, that's the uncut version. Blackbird singing in the night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly.
Oh my gosh, beautiful. My eyes are closing.
All your life. Anyway, that's
beautiful.
Song.
Beautiful.
So he did that song and he explained that song was all about. And then guess what happened, which I'm sure many of you have probably seen in the news. They had a little mini Beatles reunion because Ringo Starr came out.
I only heard from you. That's amazing.
Starr, who has exactly the same. I don't know what these Beatles are like, what vitamins they take. If it's the vegetarian lifestyle, I have no idea. Or maybe we should have taken LSD as kids. I don't know. Not that I'm advocating. Okay.
Right.
But his energy was like, he was like a 30-year-old guy.
What?
He was, he was on that stage and was doing this peace and love sign everywhere. And I mean, the guy is older than Paul.
And how did he look physically?
He looks great.
What
he
the
looks
hell?
fantastic. He was, and the thing was his energy was so. I mean, the energy was there. I mean, I've seen some older people that are in maybe their 60s with less energy than that. And I was just really, really amazed. So anyway, Ringo Starr came out, and what was super cute was Paul and Ringo kept saying "I love you, man" to each other like every 5 seconds. It was so cute. And
they're like, our time left on earth is kind of short. Love you.
They're like, "I love you, man." He's like, "I love you, man. I love you, man." And they went on to play together with Ringo on drums. They played Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Amazing.
And Helter Skelter. And that was really, really something because apparently Ringo and Paul, the last time they performed together at Dodger Stadium was in 1966. I looked it up.
God, think about that, folks.
It's a long time.
Think about that. What were you doing in 1966?
Jeez.
We weren't born.
I don't know. Wow.
My parents had not even moved to the United States yet.
Wow.
Think about historically what was happening at that time. That's crazy. Had your parents come to the United States yet?
No, we came to the United States 1972.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So it was quite something, the whole stadium went wild. All 57,000 attendees at Dodger Stadium went completely bonkers.
Cool.
So, that was really, really cool. And I think that if anything, what I learned or what I appreciated about the concert was how much joyfulness Paul brings. He really is very generous as a performer and as an artist. He's not only a musician, one of the best musicians of our time in the history of time, but he's also a humanitarian, which I really appreciate.
What are his humanitarian efforts?
Oh, he's always been right there as it relates to human rights, civil rights, women's rights. Just a wonderful humanitarian. Anything in order for humankind to live their best life. I see him there.
And that's probably what makes him so energetic and youthful because he's living a wholesome, happy, purpose-filled life.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those situations, Wanderer, where he played so many wonderful songs and it was like impossible for him to play everything, right? And you don't remember it because you're so happy that you're listening and everything. But it was like an Avengers movie where I didn't want to go to the bathroom. Because I didn't know what I was going to miss if I went to the bathroom.
Right.
I'm like, suck it up, kidney. Just suck it up, kidney, and suck it up, put a plug in it, because you ain't going to the bathroom because Paul McCartney is singing who knows what song.
This is one of the last living Beatles. If I get a bladder infection, worth it.
It's fine.
It's fine.
What's a little bit of discomfort and other things coming out of your urethra? Is that where it comes from?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
well
good.
Done.
Scientist.
Well done.
Yeah.
Since 1966, this moment has not occurred.
That's right.
Shut up, bladder.
Yeah.
Okay, I shouldn't have had those extra Diet Cokes, but shut up for now.
I think my urinary hole inverted. But that's okay.
It's all good.
It relaxed and came back as better than normal.
Better than ever.
Yeah, better than ever. So,
gotcha.
and then he went off stage and, everyone went crazy and he came back on stage and he did, I want to say, a 5-song encore or 6-song encore.
Oh my gosh.
And he brought out Joe Walsh, who is the guitarist for the Eagles.
Okay.
And yeah, it was phenomenal, but it was probably one of the best, if not the best concert I've ever been to. It was life affirming. It was soul heartening, everything, and then some. And I'm just so grateful, super grateful. Yeah.
Not to mention good value for your money.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was one of those things where the memory will last more so than the dollars, that it took for one ticket, but. It was wonderful.
You know what I think, now that you described the whole concert to me, you know what I think Paul is trying to do?
What?
He's trying to share the gift of himself with the world before he passes.
Yeah.
I think he knows his time is short and he knows that his one true gift is creating music and sharing his music, right?
Yeah.
And so I think he's trying to give of himself as much as he can, before it's time to go meet up with his 2 other friends up there, Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you have an artist or music that you love or that reminds you of a time in your life that you loved, seek out those artists and and try and find them and not stalk them, but actually go to their concert and listen to them and enjoy that time. And what better way to do it but if they actually come to your town or close by your town during the summertime.
Yeah.
Summertime concerts are always the best. I will have to say that the summertime, it was a beautiful day that day. The concert was at 8 p.m. It was still light out by the time he started. And it was a lovely 82 degrees, sunny, very comfortable. People were in shorts and tank tops. And, it was just, you could not ask for a more picturesque summer concert look. Yeah.
Amazing. That was amazing. As you look back on this experience, what is one memory that you'll take away with you?
Oh boy. I would say probably when he sang Hey Jude. That was a big one.
Oh yeah.
Because there is what is that line that he says in Hey Jude? Hey Jude, don't make it better. Make it better. Anyway, there's a part in the song where it sounds like he's saying Golda, but he says colder, and then I said Golda. Yeah, that was kind of cool. And it was nice to be able to sing these songs that you had grown up with not only Paul singing them at the same time,
but 57,000
other people who were, I mean, it's just the frequency of the energy, right? Mm-hmm. You're sharing this frequency and I don't think I was alone in coming to this concert and people thinking, oh my gosh, it's on my bucket list. I doubt I was the only one that had this concert as a bucket list item. So to be able to share that experience with 56,999 of my closest friends was truly special.
Mm-hmm. And I think he actually did say Golda.
I think
we're just going to go with that.
I'm going to believe it. I'm taking it and tucking it in my heart.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing that summer concert story with us.
You're welcome. My pleasure. And we do encourage you, as we mentioned before, if you've got a concert that you've always wanted to go to, if there was that band or musician that you loved when you were in high school or college or adult, and you have always said to yourself, I really want to go and see them live, do it.
Do it this year.
Mm-hmm. Do it. And you won't regret it.
Exactly, yes. And if you like this story today, please feel free to share with all your friends and your coworkers and maybe even your mailman or checker.
Yeah, what if you're an independent contractor and you work from home? Who could you share it with?
Who could share it with? Somebody on Reddit.
When you go to the supermarket, when you go to Ralph's.
TJ Maxx,
put it up on your phone and say, hey, have you seen these two girls?
Just grab their phone because we're on every podcast provider out there. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, and Spotify, as well as YouTube. You can watch us. So just grab their phone and just add the Ganru Show on their Apple Podcast.
And then press the 5 stars while you're at it.
Why? What does that do?
Because that gives us a rating. Not that we care about that stuff.
Oh, right. But 5 stars.
Since you're already there, might as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And we will bail you out when you get arrested. We'll come.
Absolutely. So until next time, we hope you have enjoyed this summer short of the Ganru Show. I'm Golda.
And I'm Ganru.
This has been the Ganru Show Summer Short. Bye.